There we go. Come on, there it is. All right, so just the Battle of the Atlantic here. There you go, Battle of the Atlantic. Every time I open Apple TV up at home when I want to watch a movie, I always see the Greyhound come up with Tom Hanks and how they had to travel across the Atlantic during World War II. The fear of the U-boats attacking them, right? So that's all we're going to do today. Battle of the Atlantic. That was a short video for you. More of a Canadian perspective, actually, of this battle, how this really lasted, the length of the war. So I'll let you guys jot that down. We'll review it, we'll go over it. So when's the next game, Shreen?
Tonight.
Is it at home?
No clue.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
I think it's a really good
Who do you play?
Susquehanna.
So is Halifax, I guess, the best team in the league since they didn't lose one?
I guess they are. Well, not anymore.
Yeah, since you guys took them down a peg, huh? That's awesome. Awesome. All right, so let's get after it here. The Battle of the Atlantic. What do you have, Griffin?
It was the longest continuous military campaign around from 1959 to defeat the Nazi Germany, covering a major part of the naval history of World War II.
Yeah, good job. So longest battle, right? Many people forget about that, but the Battle of Atlantic starts right when the war begins and ends really when the war ends, okay? So this is the longest battle, and this is combat out in the open water, the Atlantic Ocean, whether it's supply ships traveling over from the United States, from Canada even, to supply the Allied powers, Great Britain, Soviet Union, fighting off the German army in Europe, okay? The Battle of Atlantic, definitely one of the, I guess say, scariest moments for many of these soldiers, troops going across the Atlantic Ocean. Because if you're shot down, is there anywhere to hide? Anywhere to run? No, if there's a German U-boat out in the open water and they're targeting you, you're probably going down, okay? And there's really no saving you. It's not like there's just ships there to kind of stop. Hey, hop on board here. I know there's U-boats around. No, they got to keep moving, keep going. And yeah, they would try to save as many people as possible. But if you stop, you're at risk. A German U-boat could attack you. So this was definitely one of the most daring, dangerous battlefields of World War II and in World War I. And not many people really talk about it too much. They kind of skim over it. It's like, well, we need to talk about how you get to the battle, right? How you get to the war. And that was probably one of the most dangerous parts of the war itself. And again, not many people talk about it too much. All right, so real quick, talk about this convoy system. And I have a short video for you towards the end of class, kind of summarizes it. Actually, more of the perspective of the Canadian forces. All right, so with the Mid-Atlantic, obviously the United States using radar, okay, and using a different type of travel pattern to try to prevent any type of damage or destruction from German U-boats. It was up to Germany to try to stop the United States from aiding the Allied powers in Europe. Best way to do that is target these ships that are supplied with different types of armaments, okay, weapons that the United States is creating, I guess say in Canada, to help the Allied powers continue to fight. Right? It was up to Germany to try to destroy it before they got on the battlefield, okay, before they were dropped off, before they could be utilized by the Allied powers to fight back the German army. So again, the best way to try to win a war is cut off supplies, cut off supply lines, okay? And with this Battle of the Atlantic, that's what Germany was trying to do, trying to accomplish. Okay, not only in World War II, but in World War I. We talked about that, well, you guys American history. So these German U-boats, what are U-boats? What are they? Or U-boats? Jeffrey, go ahead.
U-boats are submarines.
Yeah, submarines, right? And still at this time, World War II, that was a huge threat out in the open waters. How do you detect them? How do you see them? It's really hard to do. It's really hard for the United States, the Allied powers, to detect and see where these U-boats are, and where they're located out in the open water. Okay, radar obviously really benefited the Allied powers to see exactly where these U-boats are coming from. Okay, but still, it was still trying to stop them, right? Trying to evade many of the torpedoes that they would launch at some of the convoy system heading across the Atlantic. Even though you could see it, even though you could detect where they're at, maybe and where they're located, it was just obviously a risk in itself, a danger trying to avoid them. Almost build on, I guess you could say, the suspense, the fear of it. And I don't know if you guys got to see the movie Greyhound. Whenever you hear the noise of the radar system detecting these U-boats, your adrenaline starts running, right? You know exactly that there's U-boats coming, and you know that there's going to be a battle ensuing soon. Anybody get to see the Greyhound, the movie? No. Serena, you got to see that movie? No? Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. You got to check it out. I think it's on Apple TV. Yeah, it's a good movie. Maybe we had to watch it. No, probably not. Maybe at the end of the year. Who knows? Well, with the Greyhound, Tom Hanks, he's leading this convoy across the Atlantic, and whenever you hear the blimps going up, whenever you hear the noises of the U-boats coming, obviously there's going to be some risk, some danger coming across. And the Greyhound was a battleship, and they were trying to help protect a lot of the supplies, troops going across the Atlantic to Europe, to North Africa, which we'll talk about in here next. And they used depth charges to try to bring the U-boats up to the base of the water so they could target a little bit better, or just hopefully sink them with these depth charges. But for the most part, trying to make them come up for air, make them come up, and try to target them out in the open water. All right, so real quick, here's some pictures of the convoy system and maybe some of the types of maneuvers they would try to accomplish to avoid these U-boats from targeting them. All right, so here's some pictures of the convoy system traveling across the Atlantic. All right, here's a picture of some of the maneuvers some of these destroyers would try to protect. It's almost like a shield in a way, try to protect these ships that are carrying supplies and troops over to Europe. Again, Germany, their goal was to try to eliminate these ships before they could help the battle, the Allied powers battle the Axis powers in Europe and North Africa. And aerial cover was really significant for the Allied powers, especially here on the eastern coast. A lot of times they would ship off in Canada, right off of Newfoundland, and try to travel to Great Britain, travel to North Africa, because obviously it's a shorter distance. The U-boats would try to set themselves right directly smack dab in the middle, and there's a large portion of water where there's no aerial coverage for the Allied powers. Obviously in Great Britain, the Royal Air Force. The Royal Air Force would try to protect themselves, try to detect these U-boats out in the open water, and even try to make them come up with different types of bombing runs to bring them up to the surface so these destroyers, these battleships could target them. Right? And Canada really played a huge role with this Atlantic convoy that the United States obviously helping out, but Canada especially. All right. And like I mentioned before, right when you leave that aerial, I guess you could say, protection from the Allied powers, it was all up to many of the destroyers to protect this convoy system getting across the Atlantic. And these U-boats were really a danger to that system, that convoy system traveling across the Atlantic. All right, so I'll play this video real quick describing some firsthand accounts, perspectives of this Atlantic convoy. Also, they try to travel themselves across up above into the Arctic Sea to help supply the Soviets. This picture, you really can't see it too much. The Soviets behind enemy lines traveling up around the Arctic, Okay, many of these ships traveling through frozen ice to frozen water and icy conditions to help supply the Soviets on the Eastern Front. I guess you could say here's a better convoy system. The look of it, travel in zigzags to try to avoid the U-boats, target them easier because U-boats really hard to maneuver in different directions. More just a straight ahead motion. Okay. All right, so I'll show this video real quick. Please pay attention. That's it for today.